Welcome to The Vibrant Couple. Today's video is unapologetically gender specific. I'm going to talk about nice guys, why you don't want to be one, and what to do to become a conscious man. I designed this video specifically for nice guys, for the women who love them, and for their friends and families who wish they would grow balls. A nice guy is a man who diminishes his power because he believes that will make him accepted and loved. So two things before we get started. First is kind and nice are two different things. There is no amount of kindness that is too much. However, there is definitely an amount of niceness that is too much in a man. And second, I posted in a previous video, it is people who are toxic, not masculinity, and some nice guys are highly toxic. My vision is that all men become powerful and safe. Did you say safe and powerful? No, I said powerful and safe. So, what goes into making a nice guy? For most, it starts as babies when we have very strong needs, particularly belonging, that's for our safety, and authenticity, that's becoming our own person. So you probably have heard of the myth of Oedipus, where he wants to kill his father and marry his mother. So as babies, we have very strong feelings, we have very strong pulsions, and some of us decide that we are bad or that we are unlovable as a result. So we repress them and we trade authenticity for belonging in order to be loved. Next come trauma and never again moments. Some of you may have seen my previous video on never again moments here if you want to watch it. Very sadly, very few of us have been taught properly or have seen good role models on how to be a man, on how to be with a woman, on how to manage anxiety, and critically on how to ask for sex. The culture we live in plays a huge role. You can imagine that we are in a very unprecedented time in which women do not need a husband or children to run the farm. This is just the last 50, 60 years compared to millennia and millennia before, and our biology, and basically we are slow to adapt. And some men are highly confused between their masculine pulsions, impetus, and the culture that tells them that they have to be docile and civil and collaborative in daily life. Last but not least, I want to mention porn. Of course, not as a factor in the making of a nice guy, but definitely as a factor in the maintaining of a nice guy. I believe way too many men get their sexual needs met through porn instead of asking for their feminine partner for sex. More on that later. So I invite you to take your time, maybe get a piece of paper and a pen, and maybe you also do that for several men that you know and maybe yourself. I invite you to use that as a baseline, not as a judgment. Remember, one of the key characteristics of nice guys is that they are bad and unlovable. And one of the key behind that, one of the linchpin, is shame. So whatever you discover in this test, make sure that you do not add rejection or shame to an already painful situation for them. He has a strong sense of self. He takes responsibility for getting his own needs met. There is a myth in nice guys that if they help others, especially women, get their needs met first, then they will help them get their own needs. This is a myth, and in reality it doesn't happen like that. Maybe once in a while, and that once in a while is enough for men to somehow believe it works, and that creates a very gambling type of addiction. He is comfortable with his masculinity and sexuality. He has integrity and does what is right, not what is expected. He is a leader. He is willing to provide for and protect those he cares about. He is clear, direct, and expressive of his feelings. He can be nurturing and giving without caretaking or problem solving. He knows how to set boundaries and is not afraid to work through conflict. He does not seek approval of others, but does verify consent. So please tell me, how do you like my Superman impersonation? My hunch is I'm not convincing you. Maybe I should have removed my glasses. The answer is deceptively simple. Nice guys kill polarity. And polarity is critical in a long-term relationship because this is where passion and a lot of juice come from. I presented to you in a previous video a continuum between yin and yang, between divine feminine and divine masculine. Today, instead of being a continuum on one axis, I'm going to present yin and yang on two axes. So on the x-axis we have yin, and on the y-axis we have yang. Some of the characteristics of yin are receptivity, acceptance, responsiveness, emotion, intuition. And some of the characteristics on the yang axis are power, self-confidence, courage, affirmation, decision, protection. We're going to take a look at three zones. The zone close to the yang axis I call the masculine man. The zone close to the yin axis I call the nice guy. And the third zone I call the conscious man, which is basically an integration of yin and yang. The masculine man is typically very magnetic to the feminine. There is an attraction that we cannot resist. But often those men are somehow disconnected because they don't know how to be in a relationship, which is yin. On the other hand, nice guys know how to be in a relationship much more, but they're often in the friend zone. The truth about the friend zone is very simple. Women with a feminine essence do not trust, I repeat, do not trust a man who does not ask for sex. So I want to qualify a little bit this very strong statement. First, consent is paramount. And then second is, this is about asking the sex that she would want at the right time, not just blank asking for sex. As a result, nice guys do not get the sex or the respect they want because they do not feel safe to the feminine. In summary, the passive aggressiveness, conflict avoidance, and approval seeking of nice guys keep them in the friend zone. Okay, so we defined what a nice guy is. We clearly, I hope, established that you do not want to be one or you do not want to be with one. So how do we become a conscious man? I believe that nice guyness is an addiction through the myth that when we are nice to others, they are nice to us. So as any addiction, we basically get what we tolerate, and one day when we don't tolerate that shit anymore, we can then engage on the path of recovery. The key is in reclaiming one's masculine power. The good news is you start with 20, 40, 60, maybe 80 years of having been a safe man. Let's start with the masculine man. To become a conscious man, he would need to develop yin qualities, learn to be in a relationship, learn to feel his emotions, learn to trust his intuition. And for the nice guy, it is to develop his yang. What we want to have here is heart and spine. Personally, I have attended men's groups for the last 20 plus years, and about a year ago I started boxing, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Couple of things that have also really helped me on the way. One is making decisions. Sometimes I have a decision to make, and I don't really care which outcome, but just choosing one is something that is actually very relaxing to our feminine partners. Last but not least is to stop seeking approval. One of the best ways I found to get there is to use the words I want. So those words can get you in trouble. That's not my intention. So a man saying, I want sex with you to a woman, and of course I'm going to assume consent, is using the masculine skillful action to invite the feminine responsive nature. And so she may say yes, wonderful, and she may say no. And no is typically lived by men as a rejection. But when we take a look at no as no, this is not what I want right now, then the masculine can remain engaged in saying, oh, maybe I could offer you a massage, or maybe I could pour you a bath, or maybe we could go out for a walk because, we haven't connected much this week. I recently coached a couple who just had a baby and they had complications, so they hadn't had sex in a year. He started watching too much porn. She was really concerned, so she called me. And I had a number of sessions with them. During one of them, I invited him to look at his partner and to tell her A or B. A or B is a game I love to play with. And so A was, oh darling, I am so sorry I have sexual needs. I do not want to impede on you. I know it's difficult with taking care of our new baby and, the complications. And very interestingly, when he said A, she basically shrunk down. It was very visible. And then B was, my love, I have sexual needs. I would love you and I to resume a sexual relationship. And very interestingly, when he said B, she somehow blossomed. So I hope that this story highlighted that a grounded, aware man who tells his feminine partner, I want sex with you, can be grounded and relaxing and actually more safe to the feminine than the passive-aggressive ways of the nice guy. In conclusion, it's okay to be a man. A couple of books may help you on your journey to reclaim your masculinity. One is, of course, No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. And the second is by one of my teachers, John Wineland, From the Core. If this video inspired you to reclaim your masculinity or to support a man you love to reclaim his masculinity, I invite you to hit the like button below and subscribe so you can be notified when I publish new juicy content. And please share, however uncomfortable that may make you feel, this video with all men you believe would benefit from reclaiming their own masculinity. I look forward to seeing you very soon.